The key ground rules in a high-performance decision-making process would be first to define the core issue. The second would be to define who are the core players, maybe the 2 or 3 who have to ride herd on getting closure on that. The third would be to have the point person who's literally accountable to drive the process. After that, it's how do we make the call? Is it unilateral? Is it consultative? Is it consensus? You would then think about who are the players who would have to be involved inside or outside the team. Then that little SWAT team goes out, comes back with a time frame, and then determines what's the deliverable. After that, it's about messaging. So the work in a high-performing team really is around issue identification, player identification and deployment with time frames and messaging. What's not happening is you bring everybody together, and that's when everybody starts debating all the issues. That's not productive. It's not efficient. It is a great mistake for executives to believe that the most important decisions are made by executives. A high-performance organization, it's about distributive decision-making, whereby you start to parcel out the decisions to SWAT teams, to other players. It's not in the purview of a little star chamber or the leader at the top of the pyramid. Because the whole rationale here is that if all the decisions are made by 2 or 3 people at the top, then if they get hit by the proverbial bus, it's like the house of cards falling apart. That is not a sustainable game. So the logic of distributive decision-making is that it becomes more of a horizontal game. Decision-making is parceled out to other players so that you're not propped up on 1 or 2 people in a little star chamber. That really becomes the powerful game. The presumptions that you have to have in place to make sure that distributive decision-making will work would be to have individuals who have the wherewithal to make those decisions. They have to have, obviously, the skill or the competence from a strategic standpoint to understand the implications on the enterprise, and they have to have the courage to be able to be bold and step out and make the call. And then they have to have the EQ, the influence skills, to be able to take that process and parcel it through the organization. So in my mind, one aspect is they have to have the courage. The second is strategically they need to understand if they make a move, how does it impact the various parts of the enterprise. Finally, the third is they have to have the EQ influence skills to be able to move it through the system. That really would be the key. If you do not have that, then you're not going to have the players who can carry the ball. Another aspect of what it requires for distributive decision-making is you have to have these little high-performance teams. All these SWAT teams that literally you're deploying are teams that really have to work ideally as little high-performing teams that are aligned. They need to be clear regarding what they're accountable for. They need to be clear around the protocols of how to operate. They have to be clear around their interdependencies. So essentially, when you're talking about the ideal high-performance organization, you're talking about a leadership group that becomes more strategic and begins to deploy and delegate decision-making to these powerful little high-performance teams. I mean, that's really the game. That was really Drucker's model of what it would look like. And what we're trying to do essentially is, in a sense, channel Drucker and have his theories work on a very pragmatic level that you can measure it and see it. That's the excitement of it.